Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Najwa. If you hear a little noise in the background, I'm sorry. This is our last day at our little retreat that we've been at, our little getaway, and we are packing up the little cottage to go. So my husband's like gathering dishes and stuff. So if you hear that, it's okay. We need to talk about Moms for Liberty. We really need to talk about this because like a lot of things, I was really blind to a lot of stuff. And I also contribute this to the fact that I am American, but I've lived in Europe since 2017. So a lot of stuff that's been happening back in the US, I just didn't really, it wasn't in my face all the time. And honestly, thank goodness it wasn't, because I think I would have had a mental breakdown. But that just is all to say that I just didn't know a lot about some of the stuff that was going on. And if I saw it, the corrupt conservative media would spin these pictures, and even those media that make themselves seem liberal but actually something else is going on, it would just make it seem like, oh, all of this far right extremist stuff that's happening in the US is just normal. It's just people, forming advocacy groups, and Moms for Liberty was one of those. For a while, actually, I just was like, oh, it just seems like a little PTA group or something. Seems like a little group of moms just getting together and it's like the school board type stuff, which my mom's a teacher. I've seen many moms forming little groups saying, oh, well, we should do this about the school play, and we should do this, we should have a bake sale. I just thought, okay. And I saw that they were quite conservative, but for the most part, the rhetoric that was being spun, which now I'm coming to the understanding that rhetoric was coming from super far right institutions and platforms themselves, or somehow just affiliate marketing of Moms for Liberty itself. The more I'm looking at this stuff, guys, this stuff is crazy. And we need to talk about this. This is bad. I mean, I was thinking this was a group that was present in just Florida. It just had a few couple hundred members or something. This thing has over 120 members, 285 chapters in 44 states as of June 12, 2023, according to all sides. And they have been around for 2 years. And it all started harassing this woman. And it's so immersed in harassment. It's really got those vibes of college hazing. And all of it is centered around what they're calling the woke left, basically the GOP now. Parents who have kids who are LGBTQ, parents and kids who are people of color or black people, with all types of stuff. These women from these groups, condoned by this group, sending hate on social media, saying slurs, camping outside of people's houses, protesting, saying that their kids are going to hell, falsifying documents, falsifying statements that people are abusing their kids and sending CPS just because their kids are, affiliated with one of these woke things, like just being a person of color or being LGBTQ. This is scary. And remind you, these are people who were huge gun advocates. They're essentially an extremist group. They might be women and they might be moms. It's so funny. I saw an MSNBC special, and they basically said, actually, no, I'm sorry, cut that. It was not an MSNBC special. It was Young Turks. It was the Young Turks. It was Dr. Rashad Ritchie, which I love. And they were talking about this, and they were like, if you turn the sound off, because they recently had a conference or whatever, if you turn the sound off, this might have been Daughters of the Confederacy. It was either Daughters of the Confederacy or Moms for Liberty, but I feel like it's the same vein. They were like, if you turn the sound, if you turn the visual off, if you just listen to the audio, you're like, he was like, the anchor who was talking was like, these are thugs. These are thugs. They might be women, they might be moms, they might be dressed in nice pantsuits, but these are thugs. These are constitutional thugs. But it's the things that they're doing are not even constitutional, and the things that they're doing definitely, I'm pretty sure Jesus would not like. Jesus wouldn't like you harassing people. Jesus wouldn't like you sending threatening and harassing, threats to people. Jesus wouldn't like that. Jesus wouldn't like you making like a kid want to drive themselves to unaliving themselves, which has happened. Look it up, because they're gay. There's literally a high school kid, and this Moms for Liberty quite literally tortured this kid and his mom, like via, the mom was a proxy. They indoctrinated the mom into this group and had her thinking she needed to send her son to some reform camps, that he needed to essentially be purified by fire, doing some dangerous stuff. The son just started falling deeper and deeper and deeper into depression, wanting to unalive himself, painting the windows in his room black. Look it up. You'll find it. Like, there's more and more and more stuff popping up, and this thing has 120,000 members. Like, living in Europe, I really feel like there was some point where I really looked at this stuff. I took a closer look because I had dismissed so much stuff because that was what the propaganda told me to do. And then I started going into it more, and now that Donald Trump is coming more under retribution. And like I said, there was some point, like, within the past year that it's really just become an epiphany to me that all of this crap started with Donald Trump. I know, like, there's people who've been saying that since 2016, but it all started with him. He gave the green light for all these extremists and racists and bigots and homophobes and groomers, and like, that's the worst part of it. The Moms for Liberty is real. As much as they try to mark themselves as the moral authority telling people what to do with their kids, they're also associated with people who are perverted. It's like, it's so perverse that we need to talk about this, and it's time for Democrats to start doing something about this. I think that there was some point where the more progressive kind of center left people, and this was back in 2015, 2016 as well, like I said. So I think we really just didn't have the toolkit to know that domestic terrorism, extremism, far-right extremism would come to this point that we're at in 2023. I feel like if 2023 could talk to our, like, 2015, 2016 selves, it'd be like, hey, yeah, like, crap's gonna get real bad. You should probably pay attention, but we didn't have that tool set then. But I think if we could go back, what happened was, I feel like we let a lot of this stuff slide. We just thought, oh, that's always been around. And it has. I grew up in the South. I definitely saw a lot of people who were uncomfortable around LGBTQ people, who even might have been uncomfortable around people who look like me, who have the same skin color as me. But they weren't forming huge chapters of crazy Karens running rampant and sending crazy stuff on Facebook 24/7. They weren't actually, like, sitting in Congress and posting Christmas pictures of them and their 7 and 9 and 10-year-old kids, with all of them with AR-47s in their hands. It just was not rampant like that. It wasn't on such a public and massive scale, the bigotry. And now it is, and I feel like it all comes back to Donald Trump. He gave the green light for people like this to come. And Moms for Liberty, I'm all for motherhood. I'm all for women coming together as a sisterhood. But this seems founded on hate. This doesn't seem founded on love. It doesn't seem founded on giving children really the love and nurturing that they need. Especially when they're going through struggles of, like, gender identity and orientation identity and stuff like that. Even if you don't 100% agree with it, come on, let's just talk about this, like, objectively for a moment. If you actually think that someone is struggling with their sexual orientation, especially a child, and if you're super conservative, even if you think something is wrong with that child's mind, if you think that they have a corruption of their mind, and you're like, I'm scared for you, I think this is mental illness, even if you think that, being homosexual is mental illness, which I think that those two things are different. I think that someone could have trauma and they could go on to come out as homosexual or transgender or whatever it might be, but I don't think the two things are exclusive, you know? So, and if someone sees that, you know, let's just take all of this out of that. You see a conservative mom group, whatever, and they think, oh, children are coming out as gay. And they think that that's something that's a mental health issue. Well, when you have health issues, you go to an expert, you go to the hospital, you go to a child psychologist. You don't sit and make kids want to unalive themselves. You don't harass them. You don't have cars staked outside of their house. You don't have threats sent to them. It just is so bizarre. But anyway, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people have been scared for a very long time to speak out about this stuff. And I think that liberals, Democrats, back in 2015, 2016, they just thought it would go away. They just thought that this stuff was a fad and it would go away. But again, if they could tell their 2023 counterparts, this is really bad. I feel like America came to the realization that this was really, really, really bad somewhere between like 2017 and 2019. And it exploded with COVID in 2020. But now in 2023, you see Jack Smith going after Donald Trump, doing everything he can to just... I feel like right now we're in that phase where we're just trying to pull this tyrant down, trying to depower him. Because little that he knows, he has opened up a gauntlet, you know, that has let extremist groups like Moms for Liberty come forward. But, I mean, at this point now, we've got to talk about real world solutions. Conservatives and liberals, I will be the first one to say, hey, I'm an optimist. I don't think that every single person who's probably a member of this group, Moms for Liberty, is a terrible person. Some of them actually might be quite well-intentioned people. But I do think that they need to listen to their constituents that have a different ideology, a different background, or different political views than them. There was a time during, you know, the George Bush Republican Party, the Ronald Reagan Republican Party, that we could all just coexist as Democrats, liberals, green, progressives, you know, conservatives, Republicans, whatever, together and have opposing views, but not result to this level of extremism. It's time to get back to that, and that's going to involve more left-leaning people, Democrats, however you call yourself, to speak up against sexism, bigotry, homophobia, racism, climate change denial. There's no other way to do this. And conservatives need to start listening to their constituents. They need to start listening to, not their constituents. They need to start listening to people on the other side of the spectrum. They need to start listening to liberals and Democrats need to listen to Republicans as well, because clearly Republicans and conservatives are really, really distressed. There's things that they want to have addressed, and I think that Democrats and liberals need to listen to that, you know, even though I think that rightfully so, Democrats and liberals are exasperated with the right, you know. They don't even want to engage in conversation with them because they just see them as crazy wingnuts, you know, and I would say that that's justified in seeing stuff like the Proud Boys and Moms for Liberty and MAGA and Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. But I do think that the right needs to be listened to so we can figure out, okay, what concessions can we make? We're not going to enter into spaces that regress America in terms of like race relations, in terms of letting homosexual people roam freely without fear for their lives, fear for all their rights being taken away. You know, women need representation. We still need those basic things. We also need y'all to stop focusing on people's body parts and come back to the stuff that democracy is actually supposed to focus on, like healthcare, like education, like taxes, like retirement. Like, can we get back to the normal policy stuff? But I also think that Democrats, you know, we need to start speaking up, and Democrats need to listen to Republicans, and Republicans need to listen to Democrats. I think that is the key right there, is that Republicans, that's probably the top thing, is that Republicans need to listen to Democrats. Because when you live in an echo chamber all you're operating on is echoes of your same sentiments. That's not what a democracy is. That's completely partisan. It's not bipartisan. So, yeah, it's time for the right to listen to Democrats. Go figure. But I would love to know what you guys think of this. Let me know in the comments. If you're new here, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Hit that bell so you know whenever I post video, and I'll see you next time. And also, let me know what your theories and solutions could be for this. I'm sure there's people out there, whatever, your political spectrum, wherever in the political spectrum you are. If you're conservative, if you're liberal, I would love to hear from you, respectfully. So I'll leave it there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.